Welcome back to another week of Your Bucket List Accelerator. Before we jump into the actual episode, I just wanted to give you a sneak peek of what the final makeup look looks like. I'm very happy with it. We use some Urban Decay, we use some Fenty, we use some MAC, we have some good old Essence drugstore stuff down here. I'm really happy with the way it turned out. And we are going to talk about 3 new financial topics. Well, maybe not new. One of them is about AI agentic agents. Again, I get the feeling this is going to be a recurring theme in the finance world for a while. We're going to be talking about retailers making big changes to their return policies. How is that going to affect your cash flow? Probably in a good way, but you might not be so happy about it. And we're going to talk about the real cost of homeownership. Should you own a home? I think you should, but let's get into the actual minutia of it. So if that all sounds good to you, let's jump into the episode. Good morning and welcome to another episode of Your Bucket List Accelerator, where we filter out the noise, play with some makeup, get ready in the morning, have some calm while we discuss some finances, and hopefully get you to your financial freedom as quickly as possible, because that's what I do for a living, as I help people with that as a financial advisor. So we're in episode number 7. We got some good things to talk about. I have a new mic I'm trying, so let's see how this goes. It's always something new, right? We're always doing something new here. And hopefully this will be interesting. We got some really good products. I got everything as organized as I possibly can. So let's get the clips in and get started. Hopefully you had a really nice week. I have had an okay week, not great. But not bad, just kind of a mild week. I did not sleep well last night, at all. I woke up between like 1 to 2:45. Nothing in my mind, just, didn't want to sleep. So, so at least I was comfortable in bed. It wasn't that thing where you wake up and you're just like, oh, I'm so uncomfortable. But, it's still not fun. So I'm going to get my timer going. Not that I've been great at this, but at least gives me a track on what to do, or how long we're going, I should say. And we shall get started. Okay, so start. And all right. First and foremost, I just want to tell you what's on my face already. I have my skincare, and then I got back in my possession this Campari mineral sunscreen, bright as day sheer mineral sunscreen. I noticed that they don't advertise this a lot, but this is my favorite sunscreen I've ever had. Actually the only one I've actually repurchased. And it's got a little bit of a tint, SPF 50. I don't hear anybody talking about it. I love Campari as a brand. They're expensive, of course, but it seems like everything's expensive. So that's what it looks like. It's not super watery, but it's really thin. And that's what I like about it. It goes on under makeup really nicely. Really doesn't leave much of a tint, but it is what it is. We are going to ignore my eczema that came back down there. Hopefully you will understand. It's not unsightly, but it's just really red. It got very itchy lately. So trying not to itch that. And then I've got on my face as a primer, this Essence Good Stuff, Hello Good Stuff Pomegranate Serum. It's nice. It's thicker. It's not, I wouldn't call it tacky, but it definitely is a thicker serum, and it's nice, and it kind of hydrates and yet makes you glowy. And like I said, there's a little tack, but not anything to write home about, I should say. And let's see, what should I get started with? Oh, I was going to do, so I saw lady, I think it's her Instagram is Makeup by Melissa. I might be wrong, but she was talking about this MAC Prep and Prime 24-hour extend eye base. So I thought, why not try that out? MAC was having a pretty decent sale on some stuff. So, why not buy more makeup I don't need? But, ooh, that's really thick. I did not expect it to be that thick. Super thick consistency, which is good because I kind of need thickness to take down some oily eyelid issue I have, which I'm sure, it's funny. I have normal to maybe a little combination skin. And my eyelids are just so oily, though. I'm not sure why that is in particular. And then I'm going to take a little bit of my CL Filter and Protect and just put a little bit over my eye here, or over my eyelid, to set that down a bit and just let that work for a second. Okay, perfect. All right, so we're all ready for some makeup. Oh, that was the Real Techniques setting brush. That's what I used. And then we'll put that back while I make a mess with the powder all over the place. And let's get going. So I'm going to go through my 3 topics. And if we have a little bit of extra time, I am going to talk about Jamie Dimon's letter to his shareholders. That was one of the things I was thinking about last night. If we don't have time, I'll talk about that next week. But I think it's really interesting talking points. And if you don't know, he's the CEO of JP Morgan Chase. And so he has a lot of weight. And it's okay if you didn't know who he was, because I didn't either until maybe about 8 years ago when I really started listening to financial news. And he is a big deal. I'm not sure if he should be that big of a deal, but he's considered to be a pretty big deal when it comes to that kind of stuff. So we'll get into that if I have time. But let's get into topic number 1, which is the end of free returns. So there's major global retailers like H&M and Zara who've officially implemented profitability algorithms. Everything seems to be AI and tech lately, doesn't it? That selectively offer free returns only to high margin shoppers. So meaning you have to buy a lot in order to get that free return. And so for everyone else, the no questions asked return era is over. So if you're just buying something for $30, you probably aren't going to get that free return, as easily as you have. So this is a predictions. This is from a resource called Forrester's Research Predictions 2026 Retail's Flight to Profitability, which they should be profitable. They're a company, right? So, the convenience of bracket shopping, which is like buying 3 things and returning 2, 3 things, meaning like 3 different sizes and something, returning 2. We've been trained to do stuff like that lately, especially with Amazon. And, the real return cost for retailers on average is $15 to $20 per item in processing. That's a lot. And so in 2026, retailers are deciding to prioritize margins over their market share, meaning that they want to make more on each piece rather than have bulk selling. And, if you aren't that top tier loyalist, you're going to be paying for your return label, which is essentially hidden 10% tax on your online shopping. Okay, so I am a shopper. I do tons of online shopping. I'm going to get going with my foundation as we do this. I'm going to use the Superstay 24-hour skin tint in 130. Just as pretty good match, but I don't use this very much for some reason. That's the color of it. So I shop quite a bit, which I'm sure a lot of you do too. We're makeup enthusiasts. We like makeup. That's, just kind of the name of the game, is you tend to shop online. I don't have, in my area that I don't have a Sephora. Around me, I have a Kohl's Sephora, which, by the way, don't sleep on them. They can really do something good. I was able to find something cheaper than actually at the regular Sephora and use my points during the Sephora sale at Kohl's at Sephora. So don't sleep on them. I'm going to go in with the A19 Anastasia Beverly Hills brush, and it's kind of a fluffier brush. I don't want like necessarily really thick foundation today, so I find a fluffier brush really helps with that. But we have gotten used to the Amazon way of doing things, and that just because that works for Amazon does not mean that that's going to work for other retailers. Now, you might say it's big business. Why do we care if they're making a profit? Why do we care if retail, is suffering from this, they should think about their customer base, which I understand that thought process, right? I'm going to put a little bit more on, just mainly in the T-zone where I'm a little red here. And I totally understand that. I mean, I think that a lot of times, we want them to treat us well. If they treat us well, they'll get repeated service. I actually have a company that I've not worked with. That sounds like I worked with them. I didn't work with them, but I was buying something from there and something came damaged or wasn't in there. I don't even remember what it was, but they took care of it right away, like most customer service do. And then they sent me a free full-size lipstick that I still use to this day. And it's made me really like them as a company. So, customer service is key when it comes to this stuff. For eyes, I'm going to go in with this Revlon Color Stay Cream Eyeshadow in Chocolate, 720. This is the color. And I'm going to take that with my BK Beauty 201 brush and take that on the eyes there. Oh, I didn't grab something. I'll have to grab something in a second. But I just want to kind of wash a color on my eyes because the main showstopper is going to be something fun, which I haven't used for a while. But I would say that you have to think of it this way. We do want companies to give good customer service, to provide that experience that we're used to, that kind of thing. However, if they don't do well, they're going to go out of business. If they don't do well, they're going to charge us more. See, it's just a very light color payoff, but that's kind of what I want. And I'm going to take a little bit of that powder that's on my setting from my eye primer and just kind of dab that on there so it blends out a little bit easier. But I would say that you really want companies to do well so they A, stick around, B, the stock market, if you're using that to get some rate of return, compound interest, that kind of thing, they're made up of companies. Company stocks do better when they're profitable. So we want them to be profitable. And I would rather companies make decisions like this than go out of business or start raising their prices. It doesn't go through this in this article, but I'm wondering if this is a way to offset maybe some tariff expenses or anything of that nature. So just keep that in mind when you get annoyed and think of it this way. It is a great way to restrain yourself on your budget because you just won't buy stuff, willy-nilly anymore. So I'm going to go in with this Moon Dust from Urban Decay palette. I think this was their holiday palette. And this is the way it looks. And I'm going to go in with, I believe it's Rock Solid. I'm sorry, my hand's in this way. So I want to go in with this color here. This is the one that I saw and I was like, I want that. So just put that on my eye like that. And now we have an easy, pretty eye look. Doesn't quite go with my look today, but it's okay. I don't have any client meetings, so that's why I'm a little bit more casual today. Okay, so that's on there. That eye primer feels nice and solid. It doesn't feel sticky or grippy or anything like that, which some people think that that's better. I find that if it's too grippy of an eye primer, it creases even more. So I don't want that. So let me grab something I forgot. I knew it was too easy. My setup here, I thought there's some products here. That's why, because I left them all over there. I rearranged stuff, of course, up here. So I'm going to go in with the Sephora 12-hour colorful pencil, and I believe this is coconut. Yes, coconut. I've shown this before, but that's the color. And I go in the waterline typically most days, especially days like this where I don't sleep well. It just brightens my eye up a little bit. And this is a really nice color for that. Some of them are too white or too stark and look kind of strange, but this one just gives that little bit of radiance. And this one in the what is that? Rivi Beauty one. Those are very nice. So okay, so that's that. I'm gonna go in with my brows. Here it is, with the NYX Professional Makeup Micro Brow Pencil. I believe this is in dark brown. Black. I don't know. I might be going too dark on my eye color. Oh, wow, that's not. Might be time for a new one pretty soon. So that's the color. But I have this, so I have this hole in my eyebrows from, I'll tell a funny story before we get into the next topic. Before we do that, let's just finish up with that topic. So I'd love to hear what you think. Do you think that this is going to help you stop making thoughtless purchases by making it a little easier or a little harder, I should say, for return? Do you think that that's going to actually be beneficial for your financial freedom journey? I think it might be for many people. Now, I don't return a lot. I don't tend to do that, buy multiple sizes and return, but I know a lot of people will be upset by that, but I actually think it could be a really good thing for people's budgets. Just my thought, but I'd love to know what you think about that. Okay. Next, we're going to go in with Brow Pencil Makeup by Mario in, I believe this is taupe. Yes, taupe. This is, my hand's a little wet still. That's the color of it. And anyhow, so I was going to tell you about my brow. So I was 12. Actually, I'm going to try a new trick. Let's see how this, I saw another makeup artist. I don't remember her name. It might be Jennifer on Instagram. And she said, you're supposed to put your pencil right there at the pupil, pull it over and pull it out, and then wiggle out. And that's the way to get the best eyeliner look easy. I actually think that worked pretty well. You do have to have kind of a creamy pencil for this, but let's try this eye. I kind of like that method. Made it easy. We'll see if it sticks on my oily eyelids, but it did create a nice eyeliner look pretty fast, so I will take it. And then I'm going to go in later with some on the bottom lash, but not quite yet. Okay, I look done. I'm going to do mascara, which is Extensionist L'Oreal mascara, just in black. Oh, I keep starting my story and then not. So when I was 12, I started getting into, grooming, shaving your legs, all that stuff that you do when you're 12 and a girl. And I was like, oh, I need to, pluck my eyebrows. They're too unruly. They're too whatever I thought at the moment. And I overplucked by a lot. Way in here on both sides. I was lucky that didn't take on this side, but I went to our hairdresser and he looked at me and he went, oh my gosh, you need to not pluck them much. So he taught me the whole method of like holding up here, straight, and that's where your brow should start and that whole thing. But it was already too late. I didn't get any of it, or I didn't get some of it growing back. So I have a hole in my eyebrows. Fun, what we do as 12-year-olds, right? So anyhow, that is my story. So it's always hard for me to figure out what to do with eyebrows because I have that, it's not just like a little gap, it's a big hole. and not much stays on there. The benefit products seem to stick pretty well, but not that many do. By the time it's lunchtime, I look and my brow is bald again there. So, awesome. Okay. So that was topic number 1. Just gonna do the lower lashes really quickly. I don't like putting too much on here. Just enough for some definition. Okay, we're done with mascara and eyes for the most part. I'll go back in a little bit for smudging under. Okay, topic number 2 is the house poor crisis of 2026. Now, many people are going to say, well, because this is housing prices and all this, but this is for actual homeowners who already own their home. So 66% of American homeowners are now living paycheck to paycheck. Maintenance, labor costs have outpaced general inflation, meaning just keeping your house up, right? Painting the walls, changing out this or that broke, making patches, all that stuff. So that has had a general inflation by 3 times and turning the American dream into a cash flow nightmare. This is from Realtor.com from their 2026 housing maintenance report. The shiny object is, your home equity. Everybody's looking at their Zestimate to feel rich on paper, but to own a home, you do have to have cash. That emergency fund that I talk about all the time here on my videos, all that time, is important to have, especially if you own a home, because stuff just happens out of the blue. We've owned homes since I was 28. I'm 44 now. I always want to put myself 1 year older. I always say 45. I'm not quite 45 yet. I turned 45 this year, but, so you can't. The idea is people are sinking a lot of money into their real estate and they're not keeping enough liquid cash outside. And the idea is that you can't pay for your groceries with your house. It's your house, which is important. Owning a home, having no mortgage, eventually, having control over your cost of living. Owning a home is a big part of that because obviously if you rent, you don't own that. It can go up every year. But this house rich cash poor idea has been going on for a long time. And it's partly because of the American dream idea of owning a home. But people don't understand that, you have an HVAC issue or, just something happens and you do have to pay for it. And it always seems like we have something that we got to fix around here. And luckily my husband's pretty handy, so he can handle it. But, here's the question. Is homeownership still the best way to build wealth? Now, I think that I'm a big proponent of owning a house. Just am. I think, like I said, owning a house allows you to take control of your situation easier. All right, while I'm talking, I should keep going because otherwise I will just yak and not keep going. So what am I doing? So I have eyes done. That can go over here so I'm not confused. I'm going to do bronzer. I'll do bronzer. And then I'm going to take, so this is the Milani Kiss Cheek and Hey Honey. I've used this before in the past for you, but I don't think I swatched it, so that's it. It's a pretty light shade for me, but I'm okay with that. And I'm going to take this Lamora brush, rounded angled contour 110 brush. It's a really unique kind of product, and it's perfect for, I think, for cream and powder bronzer, especially if you're going to be a little bit more messy with it, which I'm not really a sculptor. I don't expect my contour to do to do much, or I should say my bronzer to do much, but I want color back in my face. That's why I use bronzer. So this is kind of that perfect brush for that. And it holds a lot of products. So I don't have to keep dipping in a lot. Okay, so I am a huge proponent of owning a home, mainly because, like I said, you get to control your situation. You don't have somebody raising your rent on you. You don't have somebody, taking it away, saying, I'm going to sell our house, so you're out. And then you have to pay for moving costs out of the blue or anything like that. I am a huge proponent of owning a home. But owning a home is not wealth creation. This is very controversial, what I'm saying. I'm sure a lot of people in my industry will disagree with me. But I do believe that, see, it's nice. It's just a nice touch of color. It's a nice bronzer. And then I'll go in with, I'll do this first. So I'm going to do some highlighter in Rosy. This is the brand Koki. And I actually haven't used this yet. So, this is a powder. I should probably do this after the blush then. But it's just a light highlighter, which is nice. So I will probably do bronzer first then. Or I'm sorry, blush first. So this is going to be Fenty Beauty in Tahiti Teas. Oh, I thought I grabbed the other one. Let me see if I can get, that was not the one I was planning on grabbing. So hold on one second. This is the one I wanted to do, which was Bacon Cakes, which is kind of a more nudie kind of color. I just thought it would go really well with the eye. We want the eyes to be the stars because they're all sparkly. So this is the Tahiti Teas is very pretty, but that was not the look I was trying to go for. So we'll go with this one instead. And we're going to take the Sephora 57 brush for this and get that on there. Dust in my hand, get some excess off. Okay. So see, it's just a kind of pinky tan color. But owning a home is a big responsibility, and it's not wealth creation because other than selling your home, which is always, an option, right? You can always sell your home. How are you going to access it? How are you going to access the equity in the house? Are you going to take an equity line, which I am not a huge proponent for unless you have to, because I think that that's just creating more debt for you, which I don't want. You're basically borrowing your own money and paying more interest on it. A lot of people will take it out while they still have a mortgage, which can be problematic. Just a nice healthy glow. Well, not glow. This is not a glowy product, but healthy kind of bronzing look. That's kind of what I was going for. Might need that again. Okay, I think we are ready for highlighter. And then, no, I'll do highlighter afterwards. We'll do concealer. So this is the Tower 28 concealer. I'm sure a lot of you have seen this before. This is in, can't read it, so I will put it in the description. Everything that I'm using will be in the description box below. I won't have links because I'm not trying to get affiliates or payment or anything, but I do want you to be able to find what I'm using. So I've got another method again. I've heard to do just some simple dots and connect them. So I'm going to try that. Because I find that if I have too much concealer on, it can just be problematic. So I'm going to take this BK Beauty 110 brush. This is their, I believe, larger concealer brush, they call it. But I like it because it just kind of does the work quickly, spreads it out evenly, but doesn't leave too much product, which is what I want. Perfect. And I'm going to put a little bit, I'm going to take a little bit of that swatch, put it around my nose, because I tend to get red here, down my face a little bit. Awesome. Okay. Get the hair out of my face. All right. That took care of that pretty quickly. I like it. All right. Then I'm going to do powder. This is the Sephora Blur It powder. But anyhow, to end the discussion on owning a home and the cost, think of owning a home as taking control of your destiny, taking control of your finances, of your cash flow. And not about wealth creation. You need to have cash outside. You need to have other investments. That is not going to make your wealth plan complete unless, like I said, you're planning on selling the house. If you're in the investment, real estate investment business, that's different. So this color, by the way, is in Brightening Banana. Very nice powder, very thin powder. And then I'm going to take that setting brush that we used before and just kind of knock off some excess in the areas that I put it on. Okay, we're doing good. Let's jump into the next topic. I'd love you to think about your house. And yes, it's cost. If you own a home, it's costly. And if you are buying a home, just know that there's always going to be some maintenance cost. But think of it a little differently. Think of it as part of your overall cash flow plan. And yes, you're building up equity and wealth, but think of it overall as part of your plan, but not your plan. That was my bottom line of that. Okay, number 3 is the agentic banking boom. More AI stuff. Banking is moving from AI assistance to transactional authority. Excuse me. Major banks like Lloyd's and Goldman Sachs are deploying AI agents that can independently settle trades and manage fraud investigations. Interesting. This is from the World Economy Forum, their article that was published this year. In Banking Enters the Agentic Era. And the shiny object is, total automation, which is scary to a lot of people. The idea that a robot's going to perfectly manage your portfolio, catch every scam as you sleep, that kind of thing, that sounds lovely, but at the same time, it sounds scary because where are those jobs going? What's going to happen? That's totally new. Are we going to be reliant on them? Here's the thing. As AI starts to take over simple tasks like these agentic AI assistants, whatever they're calling them, we're seeing agents, make mistakes. And I did a small video. I think I might have talked about this in a different episode of this. But I'm going to take this taupe makeup by Mario and put, stuff on my back of my hand still, and put some of it in the waterline down here. And just smudge that on. I don't think that brush is going to work. So let me see if I grabbed. I didn't. Hold that thought for a second. Okay, I'm back. So I'm going to get the Nikki LaRose BK Beauty N23 tiny smudger brush. Get some of this on there. Oh, wow, that's really set down fast. Okay, get some of this on there and smudge in the lash line. I always try to do this after I put concealer and powder on. And I don't put a ton down here, but I do put a little bit just to emphasize my eyes and the openness of my eyes. So obviously I can't do that and talk at the same time. So that's that. Okay, that's done. Put that over there. Put that in there. Oops. Okay, moving on to powder bronzer and to highlight. And actually, before we do that, we'll put some gel in my eyebrows. They actually look pretty good today. I'm pretty happy with that. Some days are hit or miss with it. So this is the Benefit Clear Gel that you all probably know. If you're a makeup lover, this is the Benefit 24-hour brow setter. It's just clear. And awesome. That's done. Didn't use that. These are done. Okay. highlighter. This is that Koki soft highlight that I'd shown earlier that I said not to use. And we'll just use, I'm done with the setter brush, so I'll just use this as a highlighter, this Real Techniques setting. And I don't like a lot of highlight. I just want a little glow from within kind of thing. So I got this in, I think, my Ipsy box this year, or this month, this month I meant. And then I'm going to go back in and I'm going to take a different brush and I'm going to put just a little bit more of this blush back on, just because I feel like it kind of disappeared. Okay, so here's the thing with these agentic AI, and this is something we talked about last week, which is they're useful, but they aren't taking away jobs. They're actually creating more work for people, I've been reading in reports, because people are, I'm going to turn on my electric wand or my electric eye curler, because people are having to check the work of these agentic agents, and it's creating more work because they have to check the work plus the work that they have outside of that. So I'm going to go in with this Essence Soft Touch bronzer in Whipped Buttercup number 10. It's just a nice like wash of color. I can't even get it to really show up on my hand. That kind of is what it looks like. Just a little, and there's a little bit of radiance to it, but not much. It's really not anything to be scared of, I think. But so just be aware of what's happening in technology, but to be afraid of it doesn't seem logical to me, because it's going to be here whether we want it or not. And so you might as well just embrace what is coming and know how to work with it. So it's not, you don't want it to necessarily do everything for you, because again, you lose control of your situation, especially when it comes to finance. So I always find that you want to have it help you do things, but you want to check, just like, my little printouts I have here. I use AI for those, but I use it in a way, I'm going to go in with my eyelash curler here. But I use it in a way that helps me, but I don't, just print this out and assume that this is all good. I make sure the resources are right. I make sure the talking points are what I want to talk about. I make sure the topics are what I want to discuss with you all while I'm getting ready. You have to use AI for what you want it to be, rather than letting it just take over your life. And so this is going to be a theme, I think, overall with finance, with these agentic AIs in general. See, pretty, just opens up the eye. And then I'm going to finish off with lips, right? Okay, not too bad. So I'm going to go in with this Color Riche L'Oreal Worth It and Worth It 601 lip pencil. That's their typical Worth It color. There you go. And then I'm going to top it off with two glosses. So one is going to be this Wet n Wild Jelly Drip. I don't think I've heard anybody talk about this. I heard one person talk about it, I should say. I hear this is kind of a stain too. So it's got a metal applicator, which is really weird. And it smells like maybe like mango. Which I'm like the only person who doesn't like mangoes, so other than my husband. So it's not the best smell. but it's also not offensive. And I've heard that it's a staining kind of thing, like the NYX glosses, like these ones that they have, these hydrating gloss shines or serums. But I tried it out just the other day and it felt nice on my lips, so didn't dry them out or anything. It's a pretty color, so I figured why not. And then I'm going to top it off with this Wet n Wild Color Icon lip gloss in Brilliant Aloe Veras. I have no idea what that is, and I can't read that, so I'll put it down in the description. But it's a kind of a clear gloss, but it's got a little shimmer to it, and it's got some I think glitter particles in it too. So sometimes I like that, and sometimes I don't. And it's not, you can't really feel the glitter, at least I can't. So that's that. And then we'll finish off with MAC Fix-It Plus. I know this has been around for a long time, but I just got this and I tried a little sample of it. This is a really nice setting spray. I enjoy it very much. And then fragrance is, because I keep forgetting to talk to you about fragrance, is Ellis Brooklyn's Banana Milkshake. It is, what does it smell like? It doesn't smell like bananas because I'm not a big candy banana person. I'll let that set for a second here. It's one of those body sprays, so you do have to put some on. Okay, so we're over time, so I'm going to keep the Jamie Dimon thing for next time, although I do have a short that will be coming out soon about that. So I'm going to finish up with earrings, put earrings in. And so we went through a lot. We talked about agentic AI again, which is always going to be a topic, it seems like, which is fine. Well, maybe not always, but for a topic for a while. And then, we talked about returning policies changing, returning of clothes, and whether or not that makes, helps you in your financial freedom journey. I think ultimately it will. And might have to put a little makeup on that. That's a little unsightly, but it's okay. And then we talked about owning a house. And I think that that's an important topic to go through, what your expectations are for owning a house when you do. So, and then I would say this smells to me, it's got a little bit of banana, but it really smells to me like just a clean, kind of milky, not really marshmallowy, but just kind of a clean, sweet scent. I enjoy it. I know a lot of people, I've seen other people online not like it. I like it. So, all right, that's it. I think we're at like 40 minutes, 45 minutes. It's never going to get shorter, is it? All right, but I hope you enjoyed today, episode number 7. We will be back next week. And until next time, be safe, be strong, be kind to one another, and have a great week. And we'll see you on the next episode of Your Bucket List Accelerator. Bye now.